All right, I got a really good question. How to start a self-love journey. I have a bunch of notes with me and we'll see what wants to come out. I just want to give as much value as possible. So let's hang out here in my van for a little while and let's go through the notes. I started with this. My first tip is to put aside the idea that, and I wrote 4 things, that you need to be perfect. Because there's no right or wrong way to do a journal, how to start a self-love journal. There's no right or wrong way. Just whatever resonates with you the most. Even of all the tips that I'm going to give you, don't feel like you have to do all of them, and just do what resonates with you the most. Just follow your gut, follow your intuition. So put aside the idea that it's a linear journey. I think that we tend to forget, no matter how long we've been on the journey, sometimes we forget that is not a linear perfect journey, that it's all over the place. So whatever comes up for you to journal about, that's perfect. And you'll hear more in the next points as well, in some of the other tips. Put aside the idea that you won't have setbacks. Same idea, like it's not a perfectly linear journey. We need to remember that it's all over the place. And then the 4th one is put aside the idea that it'll be easy. I think sometimes we hope that the more videos that we watch, the more things that we read about self-love, the easier the journey will be. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that's true. At least that's my experience and people that I help. It's a journey, like with everything. It's a journey. It's a journey. So second tip that I wrote, so those were the 4 points for the first tip. Second tip, I wrote this because I think it's really, really important to remind ourselves of this. Whenever you feel like you want to or need to do this, that's fine. But at other times, don't try to coach yourself. That might not be the idea of a journal. A journal might be a place to just express and let it come out and just dump everything into a page. If you need to vent. If you need to, whatever needs to come out. But I don't think it's the place to coach yourself. Insights will come naturally. Ideas, wisdom will come to you naturally, but you don't need to sit there and try to coach yourself through whatever you're going through. The third point, and I didn't number this, so at some point I might mess it up, but how to start a self-love journey. Accept and acknowledge the idea that you don't know how. This sounds like such a silly point, but when we realize, like, I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, it actually gives us more freedom to explore and more creativity, which can be incredible for this journey. No one has all the perfect answers. So being creative and playing with your journey, playing with the tools that you pick up along the way, might be incredibly helpful. 3, 4, I don't know, 4 or 5. I took this from Candace Van Dell, and I love this phrase. I use it all the freaking time. Get real about how you feel so that you can heal. I like that. I always say, you can fool other people when someone asks you how you're doing, and you can say you're doing well, you can smile, you can pretend like you're okay, and on the inside you're feeling like shit. A journal is the time for you to actually get that out and say, I feel like shit, this is how I feel, and just see what comes up. So yeah, get real about how you feel so that you can heal. I like that phrase. 5 or 6, I don't know. Trust your gut. Sometimes you might want to go in directions that don't make any sense. Just trust it. And I had a question years ago on a video, and the guy loved my response. He was like, how do I know when it's intuition and when it's not, when it's something else? And I posted the question, because who knows the answer? I just posted this question to him. Like, I just invited him to ask himself this question, that what if it's all intuition? What if what you feel like, oh, that came from fear and I made the wrong decision? What if that was exactly what you were supposed to do? Who knows? But Trust your gut. That's another tip. Oh, I also wrote, I love this, I use this a lot too. Ignore the type of advice that you're like, yeah, that's easier said than done. And I call it BS, but I don't mean to. Sometimes I'm a little too critical of some of these ideas, but it's coming from a place of passion and having been there and knowing that it's not very fun. But there's a lot of advice, like when people just tell you, oh, just be positive, or oh, you just need to let it go and that's it. Like, come on, it's a little more complex than that. The idea is simple and it works. There's a lot of like Zen sayings that are incredibly powerful. But if you're not at that place, don't force yourself to be in that place. If someone just tells you, oh, you just need to let it go, and that wound, that emotion, that memory is kicking the shit out of you in life right now, then maybe there's still value to get from it. Like maybe it's not meant to let go of you already right now. I don't know. There's many ways in which we could look at it. I could make a whole hour video on that topic by itself, but I just invite you to consider that idea. If someone gives you an advice that it doesn't resonate with you, it's okay. Just pull it to the side, even if it's just for now. You can come back to it later, see if it resonates. If it still doesn't, maybe it's not for you. It's okay. That's okay. We need to give ourselves permission to trust our own inner guidance. I like how this came out. I wrote this. You know how sometimes people say, what would love do, right? There's like, what would Jesus do? What would love do in spiritual settings? And I wrote, love loves everything. The shame, the anger, the jealousy, the envy, the guilt, the sadness, everything. Even the idea from the book from Matt Kahn, whatever arises, love that. Whatever comes up, all these nasty emotions that we want to push away or hide from or run away from. I have another point. Oh no, that was for another video. But I wrote that those emotions, maybe they're just crying for love as well, right? They're crying for attention. They want your time and attention, as weird as it might sound. And I know I mentioned that quote on healing from Candace Van Dale, get real about how you feel so that you can heal. And at the same time, I love the idea from Jeff Foster where he says that your wounds don't want to be healed. They want to be held. Held, H-E-L-D. And I like that. Sometimes we might obsess a little bit about the right way to heal something, the right approach, the right technique, the newest healing modality, and they're all fucking amazing. I love them. I love exploring everything. And at the same time, sometimes that wound just wants to be held. And if that, however that looks for you, whatever that means for you, because journaling about it could be a beautiful way for you to show that wound that you're allowing it to come here, you're allowing it to be here. I made a video about this. A friend told me he was having an experience of like imagining the negative emotions. It wasn't exactly this, but this is what I shared in the video, how I imagined it as well. Like you're hanging out with a group of friends and shame comes in and you're like, hey, welcome, come here, join us. And I had the picture in my mind of join us, like join me and every other emotion that is welcome here. So all my anger, my shame, my guilt, my sadness, frustration, disappointment, jealousy, envy. Join us, all of us. Come here, join us. You're welcome here. It's a nice metaphor, I guess, a nice analogy as to how you can look at this. So yeah, love loves everything. So Whatever arises, love that. I love that quote too. And this is what I love too. Matt Kahn said this a long time ago. I think he said in his first book, Whatever Arises, Love That. But he said you don't need to love what happened or what is happening when it comes to a painful memory or something you're going through right now. But you can love the one going through it, or the one who went through it. So it doesn't mean that you need to love your challenging childhood. It doesn't mean you need to love the experiences that you had when people treated you like crap, or you went through very challenging situations in your past. And I've done this in sessions with clients, and it's very powerful that you don't need to love that, but can you love the person that went through it? Can you even go back in time through meditation, through just closing your eyes and imagining that? Can you go back and love the person that went through it? Can you love the 5-year-old you? Can you love the 7-year-old you? Can you love the 14-year-old you? And can you love the today you as you're going through whatever you're going through? Sorry, I had a loud noise. I think the fairy is leaving. So that's a nice thing to remember. You don't need to love what happened or what's happening, but you can love the one going through it. That's beautiful, in my opinion. And then I wrote Buddha quote, which I didn't write the quote, and I'm gonna paraphrase it. But it's something along the lines of you yourself, as much as anybody else in the universe, deserve your own love and attention. It's easier for a lot of us to give love and to be kind to others and be compassionate, and we sometimes struggle with doing that for ourselves, and that's okay. That's okay, because we all go through it. It takes us on a very interesting journey and a very useful journey. But I always like that quote as a reminder that as much as anyone else around me and in the world deserves my own love and attention, I do too. So maybe looking at it from the point of view of the Buddha, when you're going through that, when you're starting a self-love journey and a journal, yeah, you can remember that. And then I wrote a point that I really like. And you know what's funny? So the notes for this video were actually how to start a self-love journey, and I read journal, and that's how I went about it. So I guess you can take the tips and make it fit both. I don't know how I'll title the video now. We'll see. But I wrote celebrate yourself. I was talking to someone a couple days ago that we tend to not be great at celebrating ourselves. We tend to only do that on our birthday. So once a year, one day out of 365 days, we celebrate ourselves. I've shared exercises in videos where you can start with what feels like more superficial, which is writing down accomplishments that you've achieved and being proud of them, because it's okay. It's not superficial to be proud of things that you might label as superficial, because you can start there and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. You can then think or make a list about beautiful qualities about yourself, and that kind of takes your self-love to a deeper level, and you're celebrating yourself, which we tend to forget or not do enough of. Yeah. And can you celebrate yourself for little things, like you held the door for someone at the store, someone was in a rush and you let them go first, like little, very little things. You picked up a little bit of trash out on the street somewhere. Even things, sometimes we don't celebrate ourselves for the things that we don't do. Let's say that you had a snack, and instead of throwing the wrapper out on the grass or on a street, which a lot of people do unfortunately, you actually held on to it and you waited until you got home, or you looked for a trash can, right? A water bottle. Even if you eat a piece of fruit, and anything, you can throw it out in the woods for the animals, or if that's not where you live, look for trash. And like the things that, like, you're not polluting the ocean or the earth, you know, the word is like, can you celebrate yourself for everything? It becomes a very interesting, some people think that it could be, or it could feel selfish or narcissistic. But when you're a heart-centered person and you're in a self-love journey, it's actually, I love when Matt Kahn shared this, it's actually therapeutic. Because we don't do it enough. We don't do it at all sometimes. So I just invite you to celebrate yourself in any way you can think of. And that's it. It's a long video, but if you watched this far, I appreciate it. I hope you got some value out of it. And if you want more of these conversations, if you want to go deeper, then I would love to invite you to our private little group. You can go to my website, gonzalocords.com, and sign up there with your email, and you get the link to join the group. And yeah, we dive into these topics here and much more. So I hope you got some value out of it. If you did, please give it a little thumbs up. It really helps out. I'll see you in the next one.